Welcome to Let's Talk Data. Today we talk to Alasdair Moore, CEO of IDS, a leader in data certainty and data quality.
Providing customers with the ability to trust their data and also enable to move their data to where they need it, as they need it and how they need it.
Known for his dynamic and engaging personality, Alasdair takes us on an entertaining journey through the world of data.
You hear about data strategies, they have to be aligned to the business strategy. And all too often, strategies in different departments or cyclone departments can go off in different directions and nothing ever gets achieved.
This episode promises insightful discussions, a few laughs and valuable lessons on data's role in business growth. A must-listen conversation with Alasdair Moore. Alasdair, let's talk data. So I thought it'd be wise if we started, not way back, but going back to when you started your business, which was 2015?
It was indeed, 2015.
Amazing. So could you introduce yourself and the business, IDS?
Absolutely. IDS was set up back in 2015. It was two minds being brought together by a mutual friend that we knew.
Oh, right.
I was looking to start up a company. James was looking to start up a company. He was from a quality assurance background. I was from a HR recruitment background to do with quality assurance. Mm-hmm. And we met in a lovely pub. When I say lovely, it wasn't that lovely at all. Had a lovely meeting in a pub and discussed what we thought the industry needed. And we call it roll the dice and said, let's see if we can make it happen together.
Amazing. So how did that conversation come up organically? Did he approach you? You approach him?
We were both talking to a mutual friend, a guy called Paul Dixon, someone I used to work with a long time ago, and someone who had helped James get some work in the past. And we've both been saying something along the same lines of, we really want to make a difference in the tech space. We've worked for other organisations, we've seen how they've approached it. James was very much from a practitioner background. I was more from, I'd already built up one business, but wanted to build up another one and a more longer standing one with someone there to help me do it.
Yeah.
And that's where the kind of mutual introduction came from. So it was someone listening to us both complaining about our own situations. Went, oh, I've got an idea. You should talk to this guy.
Amazing. So I know previously you had businesses that you set up by yourself.
Yes.
So how does life compare having a business partner?
There are so many benefits, like anything in life, having a business partner. Don't get me wrong, there are benefits and disadvantages, but the benefits far outweigh the disadvantages. You've got to be more considerate, like in any relationship. You've got to think of the other person that you're working with. You've got to share more. You know, I'm very insular when it comes to sharing, but with James, over time, gosh, it's been 9 years now, we've learned to communicate better, understand each other better, and we do tend to improve each other as time's gone by. Yeah. Well, I think it can be quite lonely if you don't have that person to share the full journey with. Yes, people join your organisation along the way, but to have someone from the start, it definitely helps. You know, you got someone, as David says, you've got someone to lean on, but also someone you can turn to and share ideas with. And, you know, it's blue sky thinking and kind of strategy based. And you do bring people on as the journey goes on and they kind of come into that dynamic. And again, that's awful. You know, it sounds weird, a three-way also adds more benefits, but also causes more complications. And like anything, it's managing your way through that. Yeah,
absolutely. There is an art, isn't there, to learn to disagree well, because there are going to be disagreements. And when I've worked with people in the past in a business setting, there's emotions, you know, and you want to be right and there's an ego involved, but ultimately there's always going to be disagreements. It's how you navigate through those disagreements.
Hugely. And let's talk data, but very much data can be a way to help take away the emotion. And we're finding that more and more, even in our own business, as time's gone by, to have the access to accurate data that we can rely on, obviously not just data from anywhere. It's definitely helped us pull those emotions apart and then actually make a concise decision based on emotion and data, and with the two combined, generally, you come out with the best outcome.
Eliminating the grey.
Correct.
Yeah. So in terms of, what is your business model and who do you partner with?
So when you say business model, do you mind just expanding a little bit on that?
No worries. So in terms of why did you establish the business? What's your vision? What's your purpose?
So our purpose has changed over time.
Okay.
We started off as a quality assurance business, so purely providing our customers with the assurance that their product or systems are working by software testing, whether that be creating strategies, implementing a team, supplying a service through a team, and that's everything from UAT, performance, and creating automated test scripts, the whole kind of QA bundle.
Yeah.
Back in 2017, James and I wanted to build the business out so it gave more to the industry. We felt quality assurance was a very small part of it. So we had a load of workshops with clients, partners, employees to better understand where there were gaps in the industry, where the pain points were. And a lot of the time it came around data and the ability to move data. So our model changed to where we wanted to start building out a product. So we went from being a pure play services company into a service company with a product, or a product with a wraparound service, whichever way you want to look at it. Providing customers with the ability to trust their data and also enable to move their data to where they need it, as they need it, and how they need it.
Yeah, okay.
Quality integration.
What an amazing way to start, though, because often business owners think, this is a great idea, let's go to market. But you actually did the reverse, and you spoke to people and understand their needs and challenges, and from that developed a solution.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can get blindsided and, believe in yourself so much that you forget about everything else. With the way we approached it, obviously with the quality assurance, we were very fortunate. Gosh, we had some great clients across legal sector, banking sector, charity sector, and the NHS and government. And that was all within 2 to 3 years. What we found out quickly, though, was although quality assurance is something businesses need, it's not at the front of everybody's mind.
Yeah.
And we knew that was coming down the line, and you can see it in the marketplace already. You start talking about, and we still do quality assurance, by the way, but the leading conversations around data. And we knew that if we didn't change what we were doing and create a product as well, it wouldn't benefit the business as much.
Yeah. So what are the implications of bad data?
Gosh, where do you want to start? I mean, it's both board down and bottom up.
Yeah.
Obviously, your board relies on data to make them decide what they want to do from a strategy perspective. Obviously, you look at cash flow forecasts. That's data within there. And if that's wrong, you could think you have lots of revenue coming in and you don't.
Dangerous, yeah.
It's very dangerous. You can start spending in areas that you don't actually have the money that's going to last you for the lifetime that you need. Or you can be making decisions about hiring people and salaries. And if you're benchmarking against the wrong salary information in the marketplace, as you know, when you're talking to your clients, it can cause huge amounts of problems and bad expectations. And then from the bottom up, the data we provide from the board down to the business and where the business is going, KPIs is data, obviously. If that's inaccurate, again, you're setting the wrong expectations for the business. And the people are actually executing towards the client. So data has so many ramifications within a business. And if you look wider than that, I hate to say it, COVID, if you look at the government making the great faux pas with their spreadsheets, what did that create? Mistrust from the public. Does the government know what they're actually doing? Let's do what we want to do and not follow government guidelines. Especially in the younger generation, who are very much more data literate, shall we say, than the elderly generation. It can have a massive negative impact if you don't have good data.
Yeah, absolutely. So what can businesses do to get good data? And trust the data as well, importantly. Yeah,
it's about understanding. I mean, you really want to be able to understand what your data is and where those data points are. And, you might have Gladys, and I'm not, just judging Gladys all out there in the world, but you might have a Gladys who's been in the business for 20 years and she uses an Excel spreadsheet that no one was ever aware of.
Yeah.
So it's understanding where all your data is stored, in what format, what's it being used for? Is there any benefit to having it? I know we're going to touch on it a bit later around the whole carbon piece and storing unwanted data, but it's really starting to do workshops, and I'm going to plug it, getting professionals in who know what they're doing to help you understand that. And it can benefit anybody from a startup all the way through to a long-established business. Even someone like Amazon would benefit from these type of exercises.
So do you collaborate with businesses who don't have an internal data department, or do you support those internal functions?
Do both. Do both, really. So some customers will not have anything in place and not know where to start. Well, they might know where they want to start, but they need that kind of guidance and that helping hand to strategize it. But then you have organisations that do have a team, but they're just so busy with what they're trying to achieve, they need someone to come in and help them steer in the right direction. So it totally depends. And sometimes they will have a data team, but they only focus on a certain area of data, where we will help a company migrate data from a legacy system to a new system, whether that be SAP, Salesforce, Microsoft, or any type of platform, from ERP through to CRM to HR. So it all depends on the circumstances and what the need is.
Do you find that businesses really misjudge the scope of work involved with going on this journey? You know, do they expect it to be an overnight or month success when
flick of a switch?
Exactly.
The flick
instantaneous.
Of the switch. Yes. I think in general, as a species, humans are getting less and less patient. You know, with the adoption of social media, with instant likes and dislikes and comments and love hearts and all that kind of stuff. I think generally we have expected things to happen quicker. I think we're also, I seem to love the word blindsided today, but blindsided by the AI result or the ML result, and we just want to get there. We want to see the visuals without putting the right foundation in place. And a bit like a building, and if you don't have the right data foundation, you're building on quicksand and your building's going to crumble. Well, your AI, ML will do the same. The information provided to your board will be incorrect, and therefore they'll make wrong decisions, which will be a bigger detriment to the business rather than a positive. And that, you hit the money on the head. You know, I think they underestimate what it takes to move data. But it also gives you a great opportunity to get it right for the future. You know, you can draw a line in the sand and say, look, let's commit to this. Let's get it into a good state, and then let's maintain that good state of data. Because again, that is a problem people don't see. They go, oh yeah, we moved it now. Perfect. It'll always be like this. But like anything, like a car, or whether it be windows that need cleaning constantly, or just general maintenance, data needs that constant love and attention, shall we say, to maintain it, because it can decay quite quickly. In fact, very quickly. Yeah,
you're right. So you're taking them on a journey. How much do you have to influence and get the buy-in from those involved? I mean, is it easy? Can they see? Because it's also looking at data, what's possible. And a lot of businesses don't know what is possible, what can we do? So is there an element of you constantly reassuring and influencing as the journey goes on?
The word reassurance is a good word to use. A lot of companies understand that they want to achieve something, whether that might be, look, we have an old system that we know has become outdated, unsupported. We need to move it. We know that has to happen. And then they want to get it done. It's like, how do we do this? So we would support in that whole strategy piece. This is what's capable. Then we'll either provide the people or help their people do it themselves. It varies depending on the project or program. But in the main, you're right. They kind of need that reassurance, that because that's where they come to. Because if they knew it, they'd do it themselves. And it's, you don't know what you don't know, which is a famous business saying, which can annoy me at times, admittingly, but it is a good one. You know, they don't understand what could go wrong. And it could be, you know, anything to do with GDPR regulations or consumer goods or SOX or any of these different regulatory bodies that they're unaware of, which, you know, God, there's so many out there nowadays. How do you keep up to date with them all?
No, it's true. And it amazes me how many companies are in the midst of maybe a digital transformation or earlier on, and again, underestimate the power that data plays in that. You know, and these are some big companies that are behind the curve. But in terms of a company wanting to start out, you know, they've decided we want to be data driven. What advice would you give to starting out?
It's interesting. You hear lots of comments on YouTube podcasts, or you read them in articles or newsletters and LinkedIn posts. I think you hear about data strategies, they have to be aligned to the business strategy. And all too often, strategies in different departments or cyclone departments can go off in different directions.
Of course,
And nothing ever gets achieved. Marketing goes off, marketing. One, two. Marketing goes into one direction. You know, the data strategy can go one direction and the business strategy can go another, and board needs something completely different. it's a wasted exercise. So the first thing I would do is make sure that the business is A, bought into the idea, B, it's aligned to the overarching business strategy.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you'll get halfway through and you'll be asked the question of, so where are you at? What have you found? Where's the end goal? And if it's not aligned to the business strategy, it just can. So it really does need to be aligned.
Yeah. Okay. So we've spoken about this briefly before, but it is a topic that a lot of people like to talk about in the space. Is data a tangible asset?
Yes, we have spoken about this before, and it's a massive can of worms. I think data can be an asset to a business, but again, the value of that asset depends on how good and accurate that data is. So, for example, a grocery, for example, might have a load of vegetables. If they're all rotten, they're not valuable to the business. They're a bad asset, and therefore devalue the business. Where if it's good fresh fruit, I don't even eat fruit, but I don't know why I'm using this one, but good fresh fruit, that's going to be sold at a premium, say for example, then that does have value, and data is exactly the same. If you can use your data to progress your business with value, then yeah, it is an asset, obviously. If it's just sat there and it can't be used for a purpose, it's meaningless. It's meaningful, therefore it has no value. So you often get in these round tables and you have conversations with other data experts who go, yeah, data's an asset and it should be on the bottom line. But like anything, it's not on the bottom line unless it's worth something. So you've got to make sure it has a value, and that can be done. It's just understanding what data you have and how you use it, and how does it create that value. So for example, I can't name names because I'll get told off, but I know there's a certain auction house that say by looking at the data, they know if there's more data against the vehicle, that will increase the value of the car. Therefore, that would put value into that vehicle, so that it has its MOT, if it has its service history up to date, which that is all data technically. Service history is data.
Yeah.
And they know if it doesn't, they won't be able to get as much money for it in the auction. So they can value it better through the process, and therefore have better cash flow forecasts because they take commission, which again all adds value. So yeah, to long, massive can of worms short, the answer is yes, it can be an asset. But it's got to be good quality and accurate data and useful data. Yeah.
So when you're talking to customers, do you try and break it down and make it relatable, like the example you've just given? Because otherwise people are just like, it's this world and they don't understand. But do you break it down with those clear examples? Maybe not the fruit example, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I've never used that one. That was a newbie. That just got thrown in there for a bit of fun. I think what's important, what we do as a business when we bring consultants, because it's not me who talks to the customers day in, day out. We have a consultancy, and we've got consultant leads who will help the customers from certain points, and we have the executors that come in and do the do. But what we definitely try and do, and we do when we hire people, is ensure that they have that ability to explain something and translate it from a technical speak to a business speak, so it can be understood by all audience. And that's, I think, one of the biggest problems is we all get consumed our own little silos and expect everybody to understand our own language. Where sometimes it just needs that little change or that different word used for everybody to understand it, or different people to understand it. So everybody's on the same page. And I think that is a key to getting things and projects, whether it be a data project, a transformation project. I think that consultative piece is critical, and like you say, that ability to translate tech talk into business talk.
Yeah, it's
really
huge.
Important. Yeah, absolutely.
And it's a skill that not a lot of people have.
I hate to say it, from our own experience of trying to hire at the moment, it's a dying skill. I don't think COVID helped in that at all with seasoned previous consultants.
Yeah, okay.
Because the world is changing. It's going back to a hybrid model. Whether it go back to a full 5 day a week, I don't believe it will, but it is coming back to a 2 to 3 day a week. But you do see the benefits of that, and I'm not here to have a massive argument about whether we should do hybrid working, home working, or full-time working in the office. But you do feed off other people. Yeah,
you do. Yeah, you
I've done podcasts over a screen. I'm doing one in person, as you can see with the lovely cameras. Hello. Today. But there's a big benefit of you and I being sat here.
Yeah, of course. So do your consultants go out and meet people, ideally? Is that...
Absolutely.
Yeah, you'd always try and achieve that.
Always trying to achieve that. I think it just builds that relationship, that understanding, and the water cooler conversation, because that was American. But that kind of buy the drinks cabinet. I'm not an alcoholic, obviously, but you have these conversations that you wouldn't normally have. Where if you're on a screen Teams call, it's very one way.
It is. The worst is when someone doesn't put the video on.
Oh, I can't stand that.
Talking into a black box. It's like, are you there? Are you not there? But yeah, I absolutely agree. But I feel like there's almost an unwillingness now to travel and see people, and I went to a client in London the other day and he was like, thank you so much for coming. You didn't have to do that. And I was like, does no one do this anymore? And it's a shame, but it is a trend.
I think we're very spoilt within our sector, especially in the technology sector, because technology has enabled people to work from home. But when you think of restaurants, warehouses, they have to go in. And we set this kind of, we shouldn't have to go in, we should work from home. Well, we expect the people who provided other services to do it. So why shouldn't we? And I know some big companies, Twitter, for example, made out the statement that everybody must go in the office. IBM are now starting to bring their consultants and teams into the office, whether that be 3 days, 4 days a week. But it's definitely a trend coming back in. And maybe it's a differentiator. Maybe it is, it's weird. People actually like getting a phone call now rather than having a Teams call set up. You've rung me. Wow. You must like me. Well, absolutely. It's a good way to talk. There's so many different mediums.
Yeah, there are. And you are right. If it's it is a detriment to social skills. I know people that when I see them and I know they work from home, they take time to warm up almost, more so than they used to. I know some characters are more shyer than others, but I notice it with a few people and it's a shame because it's only going to get worse.
Well, it's interesting. I went to the Big Data London conference.
Amazing.
It was overwhelming. It was huge, and well done the team for Big Data London. You had the data Avengers there, the Kate Chantrys and Scott, the data whisperers, and Jordan Morrow, all great, larger than life characters. Yeah. What was interesting was there's so many different ways to look at data, understand it, visualize it, and it's a bit like communication, like we're doing now. You can either see someone, you can either do it over Teams, email them, WhatsApp them, Telegram them, physically call them. With data, it's exactly the same. There's so many different ways to either visualize it, talk about it, experience it. Yeah. I think it's getting lost as time goes by. I think we need to get back to understanding what it is that benefits us rather than just doing it for the sake of doing it. What's the latest trend? What's the latest innovation?
I agree. Talking about trends, though.
Oh, yes. As you can tell by my attire, not one of my greatest things, trends.
What trends do you foresee coming in the next few years?
It's interesting you say that. I mean, obviously there's lots of talk at the moment about AI.
Massive,
huge amounts. Chips. Mm-hmm. Although they are now saying, should chips be more specialised towards a certain need, which will affect Nevada moving forwards, and the likes of Elon Musk are now investing in their own chip making capabilities, which is quite interesting because he's saying the chips that he was getting from elsewhere aren't suitable for what he's doing with Tesla. So I think everybody's chasing that big dream of the AI ML, and I think the bubble's going to burst with it. I think I do. I think lots of companies are rising with it, and a bit like the .com kind of bubble, lots will fall away, and you'll be left with a core, successful group of companies that can do it, and that will help others and charge them for it, obviously, to do it.
Yes.
And I think a bit like these big digital transformation programs, those who approach it correctly, like we talked about earlier, having the right data, quality data, accurate data, and the right information going into these tools will accelerate growth for those businesses. Yeah. Those that kind of not ignore it, but the Woolworths, for example, of this world that went bust, and the
such a
Blockbusters.
Shame. Great pick and mix.
Oh, I used to love dipping my hand in that pick and mix. But do you know what I mean? Those who don't adopt will tend to go under.
Absolutely.
So I do think AI and ML, like everybody's saying, is a big trend. But it was interesting, again, going back to Big Data London, a lot of the talks I sat in, they were in agreement. They were saying we're not set up yet as a business, as government, globally, to actually move forwards with AI and ML as quickly as we think we can, because the data isn't ready for us. or we don't know how to govern it properly, or we don't have the governance in place or the strategies in place.
Yeah, there is mindset plays a part though, doesn't it, with fixed and growth mindset and adapting and evolving. You know, it's huge, and so many people will say, well, we've always done it that way, you know.
Yeah, and sadly, you know, the only constant thing in life is change. And that's a quote I've nicked from somebody, I don't know.
I like it.
But it's very true, you know, life will always change. It's the constant thing that will happen.
Yeah.
And that's the same with businesses. You know, again, going back to when James and I looked at the business and said, what do we do moving forwards? If we hadn't changed, I don't think we'd be anywhere near where we were now.
No, absolutely not.
So I think it is the world is advancing so much more quicker than it used to, you know. Apple made a massive difference in the marketplace. Amazon, Tesla, PayPal, all these companies grew so much faster than other companies have over the past. I think it's only going to get quicker and quicker and quicker. I think the only thing that will happen is some companies will grow really quickly and some will just disappear very quickly. And you'll see a bigger trend of that. Gosh, WeWork. Wow. Did you see that?
Yeah, that was crazy.
That's a whole nother story.
Yeah, no, that was crazy.
That
Talking about development then, one person said to me, a mentor that I work with, and I loved what he said. He said, really, you don't want to recognise yourself a year ago, you know, and beyond that, next year, you're going to be a better version of yourself, because we always want to learn, grow and adapt. So if you were reflecting over the past 7 years in this business, but you've had previous, nine previous businesses, what changes personally have you witnessed, I suppose, from a leadership point of view, or just generally as a business owner?
That's a very good question, isn't it? Thank you, Emma. A big change definitely has, in myself anyway, has been letting go.
Okay.
Giving responsibility. My other business, it was just me. I was a sole person in the business.
Yeah.
With this business now, we're up to 50 consultants, and we have a back office team, and we have a development team, and it's trusting in others.
Yeah.
You know, you have to be a little bit narcissistic to have your own business, because it is all about you at the beginning. It's your idea, it's your baby, it's your concept. And by the way, having James as a business partner was great, because he definitely knocked my ego down, which was I needed. But you do, definitely, it's the being able to give something to someone and say, this is what I want to happen.
Yeah. Go
away and do it. And then not putting your nose in every 10 minutes to see what they're doing. That's definitely been a big change I've had to do.
Yeah.
Or needed to do to grow. Trusting in others. You know, it's so hard, especially when you get bitten a few times in business.
Yeah, that's true.
The ability to trust someone, you tend to look in the past, but that's data, because data is your past and your present. And go, well, what happened then? Gosh, that wasn't a good idea. Or someone said that a few years ago and it never happened. So yeah, it's definitely the trust, sharing and delegating bit that's been the hardest.
Yeah. And what about, so you spoke about your relationship with James previously. Would you advise starting a business with someone else, or 3 or 4 people, or with investors, or do you think it's just entirely personal to that project?
I think each scenario is different, isn't it? I think each individual is different, so what's best for them. I've definitely enjoyed doing this business with James more than doing it on my own. Definitely from multiple, you know, from celebrations to
commiserations.
Yeah, exactly, commiserations. That's been that fact there. I mean, you touched on investments partners. We did get investment.
Yes.
It'd be nearly a year ago now. It'd be a year. It's November now, isn't it? It was a year in October last year, and that brings a whole new dynamic. That brings a new piece of the pie, and again, benefits.
Yeah, absolutely.
And some not so good benefits from it. I think it's all depending on the situation, and some people aren't fortunate enough where they have the money to start up the business in the first place. Although it is very hard to start a business without some collateral, because investors expect you to put something in for them to, you know, why would I put lots of money in if you haven't invested in yourself type scenario, which is very difficult when you don't have any money anyway. But yeah, I think it all depends on the scenario. Yeah.
So your investment journey, did they approach you or did you approach them?
We went out to the marketplace.
Oh, did you?
We went out to a few investors. In fact, we had 2 consultants who helped the business to get the investment. It was a very obviously different journey, an interesting journey to go down. I'd never been through it was actually a loan note we went for in the end, rather than actual a buying of equity into the business. But yeah, it was a very interesting process. You learn a lot about yourself, and obviously they probe into you. You know, we talked about tests earlier, didn't we?
Yeah.
not in this podcast, apologies audience, another time we met, we talked about tests. So you learn a lot about yourself. It actually helps you to reflect on your business as well. We've got the opportunity to go, well, what is our mission? Are we actually doing what we set out to do? Have we got the right team around us to ensure that we achieve what we want to do in the future? And it also gave a chance for me and James to realign and go, what do we want out of this in the next 4 to 5 years? Data was key to all those decisions, may I add.
Yeah.
Very key, and also helpful for us to present data to the investors. And we could say with confidence that data was accurate, because obviously you keep your own house clean, don't you? If you're a data quality company, it would look a bit poor if you didn't. But no, it was very useful, the data, to help us explain our story, our journey thus far, and where we wanted to go.
Yeah.
And the different systems we had within IDS.
So what advice would you give to companies who have maybe got a couple of years of business behind them, who are looking or considering the investment route?
Definitely make sure you need it. Make sure it's something you want to do. In the essence of, where am I, where do I want to get to, how quickly do I want to get to it. I'd even do a kind of internal review of where you are at.
Yeah.
So almost do what you need to get ready for an investment round.
Yes.
Because you might get to the end of it and go, actually, I don't really want to, or don't need to. Or, oh yeah, look what we could achieve if we did get some investment. So yeah, I definitely would say do a workshop exercise with who's involved with the business to make sure it's actually something you need, because there's so many different routes to get money nowadays, and it's not for everybody. If you're happy working, if you're all about you, you might not want a third party going, well, how are your books doing? What are you doing today?
It makes you accountable though, doesn't it?
Well, again, that's the partner thing. I mean, James and I keep each other accountable all the way through.
True.
But yeah, if you are someone on your own, definitely you can have that almost feeling of a partner.
Yes.
Although they're a little bit more less tolerant than a partner, shall we say.
Oh, really?
I think they can be, yeah.
Yeah. So what was the investment for? What are the plans in terms of growth going forward?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as I mentioned, back in 2018, we started building out a product called iData, which is a tool that covers everything from data quality through to data migrate, or ETL, migration of data, with an insurance wrap around it. And then it also does things around test data management. We invested lots into that product, and it is now being used on client sites. But to help us give us that run of cash flow, we need an investment from investors to help us achieve that.
Right, okay. Do you get constant feedback from your customers in terms of what's working, not working, and are you able to fix that in real time?
Is it as great? Oh, well, do you mean from a service or a product perspective, or both?
Oh, both. Let's go both.
Let's go both. Let's make it easier. So we are constantly reviewing, because we've got ISO standards. We're constantly reviewing our processes, and one of those is data collection from clients to understand if we're doing a good job, what could we do better, and that's across product and service.
Okay.
And we do have a process in place to do that. So the answer is yes, we do. Is it as good, or can it be improved? Absolutely. I think every process can always be improved, even if it's just by 1%, it can continually be improved. And we constantly look at how we do that. Sadly, we are hand-tied by how many people we have in the company to do that.
Right, yeah.
And often you have to prioritise what comes first. But we do, like we did when we did our change of direction as a business, listen to our customers, because that's who we're working with, right?
Yeah,
so we've got to make sure
absolutely.
it's aligned to what they want and what the changes are.
Yeah.
And they change their minds as well, by the way.
They do.
Human. Yeah, absolutely. It's great.
So you're operating globally now, I believe.
We have clients in different locations. So we deal with some in Australia, some in the US.
Amazing.
We have done the odd work in Belgium, our client in France. So yeah, we do. But that would be often because we all have a client in the UK.
Yes.
Who has either a headquarters or sister company elsewhere, or they have an outsourced partner that works. So you get that kind of, I think that's the way the world's going. Well, it has been going for the last 5 years.
Becoming very small.
Oh, it's so small. It's scary, isn't it? But yeah, no, you're right. We do have that kind of tendency to work globally.
So are there any differences operating in terms of legislations or policies around data?
Gosh, hugely. I mean, if you look at the data legislations, the US has different ones to Europe. Obviously, we've left with Brexit and we're reviewing our own data legislations. Germany has very strict ones in certain areas, but not in others. So you need that ability to share data. I mean, India has pretty much none. but they are then governed by ours or Europe's because a European business wants to work with them, but they can't. And then you've got the sharing of data and PII data and privacy data. So there's so many different headaches you can have with that. So you definitely need to get into bed, which sounds really wrong, doesn't it? But you need to get in bed with an organisation that understands that.
Yeah. And was that always your plan? Do you want to be global? Do you want to take over the world like I do at Mirai?
Mini-me, little finger going up to the mouth. I think we've always had aspirations of servicing businesses outside of the UK.
Yeah.
Without a shadow of a doubt. But we've always wanted to make sure our foundation was solid in the UK before doing that. And it's actually happened slightly quicker than we thought it would do, just due to customers having different businesses around the world.
Yeah.
So it's not been a kind of let's go get it type attitude. We are now set up to do global work. So you are around the world, we're here. I don't know why I'm whispering into the camera, that was creepy. But no, in essence, yeah, we can service the world. And I think any technology service company can. And, we do commit to going see our clients in other countries.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, we're off to Amsterdam soon to go see a client over there. I really want to get into Italy.
Yes.
Any Italy companies want help? Shout out. I love Italy. Rome, phenomenal.
Yeah, true. Well, I want to be in Miami. That's our plan. Sounds
Miami
good.
is awesome.
The pastel
Miami's very
colours. But yeah, do you know what? I think
very much like Manchester.
But they're great to work. No, not at all. They're great to work with. I think they're so receptive as well. It's a different relationship and opinion. Recruiters, there's some good, bad, like there are everything. But in the US are very welcoming to the services we can provide, which is always nice.
So estate agents as well, apparently.
Oh, really?
Not saying estate agents are bad, but I think America in general are very positive.
They are.
Land of opportunity, different mindset, and they also want others around them to succeed.
Yeah, I love that.
It's very much how do we do it together to achieve something. And I'm not saying we're not like that, but we're a little bit more reserved with doing it. I often go, why have they got it and we don't?
Yeah, scarcity mindset.
Absolutely. And sometimes that's good and sometimes that's bad, because you have the positivity of I want to do better than everybody else, and therefore I'll drive it and make it happen.
Yeah.
Whereas in America, it's if you're more that person who likes to feed off others, that's the benefit
you're right.
as well.
So talking about success, I suppose, what does success look like to you currently, and where do you want to be? Do you have ambitions for the next, say, 5-10 years in terms of how you grow the business?
Absolutely. Like any business owner, I'd be lying if well, I don't know. I'd like to think every business owner wants to be successful, more successful. We do have KPIs of what that looks like, and that's very data-led, obviously, because let's talk data. But at the moment, we're running at a turnover of around the 4 million mark, and that's what we'll probably end on this year, 4.5.
Amazing.
With the pipeline. But we want to grow that the year after to 8 to 10, and then the year after that 10 to 15. And how do we achieve that is by doing good work.
Yeah.
That's one thing.
Yeah.
Building on those relationships that we have with our partners to enable us to do that. Like you said earlier, get more feedback from customers to see what we can do better, or where we can help them elsewhere that they're not, or where we can help them.
Yeah.
That's often a big thing that we see, is that we'll help one customer with data quality and they go, God, we're moving to a new system. You don't know anybody who can help us. Hello, we're here, we can do that.
Yeah.
Or we have a problem with testing. They're like, well, we can help you with that. So yeah, it's understanding that customer base and growing it from there with working with them and getting to, again, we go back to getting to know them, visiting them, meeting them, understanding their problems. How can we help them grow? Because if they grow, we will grow alongside them. It's just the ecosystem that will occur.
Yeah. So how do you use data? And it's such a good point in terms of forecasting. I know the first budget I put together, I plucked numbers out of anywhere. I was just like, oh, we'll do that this month because I say so. And this is a great month and everyone's happy in July. And then August, everyone's on holiday. And I don't know what I was thinking. And they do say budget like an account manager and not a sales manager. And I very much had my sales head on. But how can data help us more, would you say? Aside from the obvious.
Absolutely. So first of all, generally you use your sales forecast from your CRM.
Yes.
So you've got to make sure all the data in that CRM is as accurate and kind of quantifiable as it needs to be to what you want to do your cash flow forecast, because everybody has different cash flow forecasts. You and I are quite similar, isn't it? It's sales around either consultancy work or contractors, which is very similar. And then we'll have our product, which is a bit like your perm placements.
Yes.
But you've got to make sure the right metrics are in the CRM in the first place, make sure the data is up to date. And then you need to understand and you'll know this, it's very hard from the word get-go, but you start to learn, okay, I know if I get to this point with a customer, it's 25% likely to come off, or it's 50% likely to come off, or it's 75, 100. For example, if you've got a statement of work on a customer's desk, you pretty much know it's 90% over the line unless they get hit by a bus or they change direction. So it's all about putting the right metrics in place and using that data from that to be able to forecast forwards. And you could, again, it's getting to know your customers, understanding what's going on. So if you know a customer's like, I'm doing a big migration in December next year. So you know that it probably takes about 2 months of work before that to do the strategy, before the migration occurs, then the migration occurs. So you can start to pivot and put that revenue in and be more accurate with your forecasting. Don't get me wrong, we used to get it horrifically wrong, terribly wrong. I'd already bought that private jet. But, it's... You learn. You do learn. But the data the more people think, get loads of data in there and it will help me. Not if it's bad data.
No, true. And in terms of best practice, because I guess a lot of your people who work for you, they understand data, the importance of it. But how can you instill best practice within a company? Because, the CRM, they'll have some fields that they have to fill in, but they don't have the information, so they'll just put an X next to it. How can we influence the team to really get on board with it? Because it's our vision, but how can it be their vision as well?
Yeah, Jordan Morrow will love this. Data literacy.
Yes.
So it's making sure that your team's data literate and they understand the benefits, quick rows of why you're doing something within the system. You can put in any or most CRMs nowadays kind of like a workflow or blueprint. So people have to follow or fill in certain things to get to an end destination. And without it, they can't move forwards, which is quite good in two respects. One, they can question what they've done thus far and are they actually at that point to move the deal forwards or put the information forwards. It also helps you understand whether that needs to be in the forecast or if it's in the right place in the forecast, because I don't know, someone like, I really got excited. I spoke to John over at Boohoo and he wants 1,000 data engineers in your circumstance.
That'd be great. Yes,
Wouldn't
please.
Yes, please. And you put down your 2 million revenue, whatever it is, and then he goes, no, he's changed his mind, he just wants one. Well, then obviously your forecast changes. But would you say a conversation over a phone is a 50% chance, 25% chance, or 100% chance? And then you equate what falls in. But going back to the system, and I do apologise, I digress. You can cut and paste this as much as you like. But it's getting the team to understand why they're doing it, the reason for doing it, and then you even create a advocate within your team. Or one source of truth. So we have a lovely gentleman called Mike Pete, who works with some of our guys in the business to collate the data, to put it into it and make sure it is up to date. So he'll do weekly calls and saying, right, you got these deals within the system. Is it likely to happen this month? You've got it down for next week. Have you got an SOW out, or is it in place? So you almost have that champion and kind of data guarder or advocate to make sure it is correct.
Right, okay. And do they work within your business?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So when would you recommend a company get someone like that on board themselves then?
I don't think you necessarily have to get someone on board to do that. You can kind of ask the concurrent team who would like to do it.
Be a data champion.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't need to get people go, oh God, I've got to get in a data governance lead or whatever.
Data steward.
Steward, good word like that. Data steward. But you don't necessarily have to if you're a small business. A, where's the money going to come from? And B, is it a necessity? No, you can kind of look for someone in the business who wants to potentially get into that further down the line, that they would want to do it themselves.
Yeah, okay.
If you don't ask, you don't get, do you?
That's true.
Correct.
That is true. So we're going to move on to a quick fire data lightning round. So
I'm not going to get buzzed or electrocuted, am I? That sounds very...
You're not. I have written down the questions though.
Okay.
So first one, what's one common misconception about data that you'd like to debunk?
Not all data is an asset.
Like it. Name a book, podcast, or event that every data enthusiast should explore.
Can I give more than one?
Of course you can.
Let's talk data.
Thank you.
Let's talk data.
Thank you.
No, just listen to this one. It's good.
What about Data Club? Talk to us about Data Club.
Well, Data Club is an event that we host. That's a very intimate. You can tell I'm dyslexic, can't you? Intimate event where we have about 25 people within the data industry.
Nice.
Whether that be a CDO, CTO, CFO, because CFOs, CTOs are still in the data industry.
They are.
In fact, very affected by it. And what we do is we'll get a speaker from our own business, i.e. a consultant on the ground, and someone either on the client side or a partner that is working on a project with us to talk about certain areas where there are problems within data. And it's an opportunity for those to contribute, listen, network with other C-suite members to understand more about what's going on in data. And it's very nice in the fact that we're starting to build a repeat round group of people coming. So you get that kind of family feel, but that kind of, I can just talk and say what I want. And it's very Chatham House, nothing leaves the room.
So it's an exclusive club, is it? Or can anyone partake?
Anyone can partake. It's open to anybody really who has got an interest in data. C-suite, program director level, program manager level, architect level, really.
Amazing.
That wants to get involved with that.
Yeah, I think the important thing is really, and we forget, don't we? And this is why I wanted to launch the podcast in the first place, that leadership can be very lonely. And, you know, data people, a lot of it is quite the new roles, they've carved their own path. And when I went to the Women in Data event, it was just amazing, like just networking. And so many people have the same challenges and issues, but they don't want to tell their boss, and they're also the buffer for their team. So it's they're absorbing all these issues, and it kind of goes, they internalize it essentially. So these events are so important.
It's interesting you say that because it kind of lends itself to what we talked about earlier around the working from home scenario. You know, if you're in the office, you can just pull someone aside and say,
I know.
I'm a bit concerned about this. What do you think? When you're on Teams and it's potentially being recorded or whatever it might be, you know, you can't share those concerns or grab someone in out of nowhere and go, by the way, I've got this issue. Yeah, you're right. You don't want to just, can we have a call? It makes it more formal, doesn't it? Absolutely. Yeah. Or even there might be another company in the office block that you're in and you know someone, and you just accidentally bump into them all the time. You go, I'm glad I bumped into you. I know you do this. Can you help with this? People feed off each other. So Data Club, could there be a podcast coming? There could be a podcast coming. There could be. It's something that we've talked about. I mean, I'd love it to be as professional as this one, obviously. You know, lights, camera, action. I think it'd be something for next year or the year after. I think we want to get, again, data events has only been going, Data Club events have only been going last year. Right. We've got a lot to refine it, make it better. We're doing a lot of, what do you call it? People who turned up or attendees feedback. Okay. I've been doing that recently. I wanted to do it myself because I wanted to actually hear what people are saying about it, and we've already learned lots of benefits that we can add to it for next year. I think you can rush into something too quickly and not be prepared for it, whether that be a marketing campaign, a podcast, an event, the 6 Ps, isn't it? Well, good luck with it. Oh God, need it. Thank you. Okay, next one. Finish this sentence. Data is the key to insights. Like it. Very good. If you could offer a piece of advice to someone starting a data consultancy, what would that be? Don't do it. Is that because you don't want the competition? Competition is good. It helps you improve and rethink. Put structure in place to enable to build without problems. Did you build with problems? No, I was given that same advice by someone else, a guy called Matt Robson, who met James and I before we even set up. And he said, if you're dreaming big, which James and I were, ensure that you have the structure in place, a bit like we talked about data being in place for AI. Make sure you've got the technology, framework and people to enable you to grow at scale. Absolutely, yeah. And finance, by the way. That's key. Cash flow, key. I definitely built on shaky ground. I think my biggest strength is also my biggest weakness, which is taking action too quickly. So now I try and go slow to go fast, if that makes sense. No, it does, absolutely. Yeah, no, it does. Okay, and last one. In your opinion, what will be the most significant development in the world of data in the next 5 years? I hope it's our ability to reduce the impact of having data in the world.
Explain that.
So we're still finding it difficult, and we're growing data quicker and quicker, day by day by day by. How do we store that data? How do we manage it? How do we? It has such a massive impact on our carbon footprint, our wildlife, our world in general. I hope that something comes down the line where we are enabled to either utilise it quicker, more efficiently, both from a cost, physical, financial and worldly perspective. That's what I hope.
A great one. It took me a while to understand what you meant then.
Yeah, it's my gobbledygook.
No, but I get it. So it just becomes an everyday thing.
Yeah, so how do we refine it? How do we make it more efficient? I think someone will invent something along the lines of, we can store it in this way, we can share it in this way, and it's reducing our footprint on carbon, it's reducing our impact on the world, storage, all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of good it can do, isn't there?
Electric cars, for example, at the moment, the batteries are massive. It's a huge cost, material-wise, transport-wise. It's not actually that green in the end once you actually get the job done. And you can only do 300 miles. They're now saying they've got a way to make batteries that are less damaging, easier to control, fireproof. You don't start fire in your car, do you? But they are making ways of doing that, and you'll be able to go 1,000 miles on the same battery size as a mobile phone. That's where they're going to get to.
Wow, when's this?
They're saying by 2030.
Okay.
But do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that same kind of thing will happen with the storage of data, and I hope it does.
Amazing. Well, thank you.
Pleasure.
Questions finished.
Oh,
Job
God.
done.
Pressure is off.
Amazing. Thank you.
Let's get a whiskey.
People understand that it's important, but they don't make the time to invest in it. Parachuting a bunch of data governance analysts to demonstrate value and to make a small impact, but it is a real culture shift. Everyone needs to be on the same page.